What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is the third installment of PulseChain versus. I'm comparing basically in this series PulseChain to a lot of top 100 layer 1 network, and in this video we're going to compare it up against AVAX, and mostly, like always in every video, we compare the downsides of each network compared to PulseChain, and we're going to go over AVAX. But before we do that, I want to address a few comments that I got about my previous videos about how because PulseChain is not out yet, it's not fair to compare PulseChain to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, or even AVAX as of right now. And my argument against that is I can speak on it just because PulseChain, the testnet itself, has the highest adoption rate of any testnet. We've had Test1 v1, Testnet v2, and Testnet v2b with pulsex, and with every testnet we knock out bugs, we make it run better. The devs are doing excellent work. We're still on testnet just to iron out the last few bugs like Richard Hart mentioned. And it has the highest adoption rate of any testnet. You can just go on the testnet right now and look at how many transfers, at how much volume is being done. Of course, it's fake numbers, but if you just look at the activity alone, you can see there's a lot of activity being done on testnet as of right now. And based on Richard Hart, if I remember correctly, he mentioned that around 5,000 to 7,000 people are using the testnet, which is very highly adopted and has never been done before on any testnet. Just to put it in perspective, the PulseChain testnet itself has more adoption than certain layer 1 tokens out there that are already launched. So keep this in mind. So let's continue. And by the way, bugs have been found in testnet v2b, and they're getting resolved as we speak by the devs. So let's continue. Moving on to AVAX. Just like any video, we're going to go over these downfalls of AVAX and every other chain. So the first one is wallet connectivity issues. Now guys, this is one thing that I've experienced myself when using the AVAX network, the Avalanche C-chain network. Sometimes when you're trying to connect to dApps, sometimes the dApps and Avalanche would not connect, and you would have to try multiple times. Even after clearing cache, even after resetting MetaMask, sometimes it's hard to connect the MetaMask wallet to certain dApps. And I've experienced myself, along with a bunch of people that I know, they've all reported the same issues. That's the first one. Second one is chain congestion under slight load. Now, a few months back, AVAX has been experiencing a lot of load because of Time Wonderland and a bunch of other projects that were going crazy, either because they were rugging or people were trying to get their money out, and there was a lot of load and the chain experienced congestion, and that was a few months back. And usually it doesn't happen on AVAX, but people notice multiple times that when over a certain amount of transactions happen on the network, the chain starts to congest pretty badly. And because of this congestion, a bug gets activated because of the high load on the network. And I'll show you guys an article that actually outlines this. So this right here. Avalanche crippled by bug triggered by unusually high volume, engineer says it. The blockchain, which had been touted for its ability to handle high volume transactions, was slowed to a crawl by an unusually high number of transactions. And if you look at the date on this article, it says February 14th of 2021. Now this article is sort of relevant as of right now, and I'll explain later on in the video why. But for now, let's stop right here because I'm not going to read out the entire article, and let's continue. So as I've mentioned, bug is activated by high load on the network. Another thing is bridging in and out of AVAX takes a long time. Now this is again coming out of experience. One time it took me about 15 minutes to bridge in to AVAX and even longer to bridge out. So I don't know what's causing this issue. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm not a dev, but this really ruins the experience, especially when bridging in and out of Ethereum or even Binance Smart Chain is a lot faster than AVAX. I don't know if it's just me or just the people that I know, but for some reason bridging in and out of AVAX is kind of difficult. And yes, a lot of these problems that I just mentioned, like the bug activated by the high load on the network and the bridging in and out, have been resolved. Yes, they've been patched. The network got patched for these problems. But however, the extra patching code on the network increased gas fees. And I don't know if you guys know this, but during the bull run, the fees on AVAX ranged anywhere from $1 to $10 to swap. And that's nowhere close to Binance Smart Chain popularity. Alright? Binance Smart Chain is so much more popular than Avalanche, and their fees usually range anywhere from 5 cents to 50 cents on a very, very congested day where there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of swapping, sending, and all that good stuff. And AVAX is not even close to how popular and to how used Binance Smart Chain is. And they have higher fees than Binance Smart Chain, which is pretty crazy. And now if we go back to the article that I just mentioned, those high gas fees are caused by the extra patching that was implemented into the chain because of their bugs, because it's so hard to bridge on and off AVAX, and because of the connectivity issues to certain dApps. So that's why gas fees increased on the Avalanche network. And like I mentioned, during the bull run, fees ranged quite high, and this goes against creating another layer 1 solution that is faster, better, cheaper than Ethereum. When Ethereum itself, you know, even when it's quiet, there's no bull run, nothing, it costs between $10 to $20 to swap, send, and all that stuff. But AVAX, being expensive as it is, on and off a bull run, it's pretty crazy. But let's continue. Yeah, so like I just mentioned, BSC is still cheaper than AVAX with more network load. This is another point. Malicious validator activity on AVAX is not punishable. You heard it right. There's no coin slashing for bad network actors like other chains. What does this mean? Let me show you guys something. So let's scroll down over here. I'll show you guys where it is. So if you go to the actual AVAX website itself, it gives you basically an overview of what AVAX is, how good it is, how amazing it is, how many people are staked, and all that stuff. Now once you come down here, you're going to see something that tells you no slashing. And it says, unlike other platforms, staked tokens on Avalanche are never at risk of slashing. Meet these parameters and you'll be rewarded. Now this is, in my opinion, this is a downside, because slashing was invented to punish bad network actors, and AVAX does not have that. So it's somewhat experimental code, and it's an attack vector, especially when you put together the high network load that AVAX experiences during a bull run and the high gas fees. That thing alone could snap AVAX chain in half. All right, so that's to me a downside. And continuing forward, there is some, like I just mentioned, there is some experimental code in AVAX. You need 2,000 AVAX to become a validator, which is around $60,000, which is a lot of money, guys. And that's about all I have to say about AVAX. Now, if you compare what we just overviewed about AVAX and you compare it to Binance Smart Chain does seem better than Avalanche. And if you compare both of these to Ethereum, they do still look better than Ethereum. But compared to PulseChain, in my opinion, not Ethereum, not Binance Smart Chain, or Avalanche fare up. And you could say, oh, it's not live yet, it's just testnet. Sure, but show me a layer 1 that has a testnet adoption as much as PulseChain does as of right now, and is getting all the bugs ironed out before launch. Will we have bugs after we launch on PulseChain? I don't think so. I don't think there's always a possibility of that happening, but I really don't think so, because that's why the launch of PulseChain keeps getting delayed, because they stress the network, they try to find bugs, they do, and they iron them out, and they make it better every testnet. That's how Richard Hart did it with the Hex, and he's doing the same thing with PulseChain. He's just taking his time, like he should, to iron it out and make it good. And just to put this out there, some people might say, hey, AVAX gas fees are cheap as of right now. Yes, they are cheap right now. That's because we're sort of in a bear market where there's not a lot of activity, not a lot of people that are using the layer one ecosystems, not as much as they did a few months back. which is why fees are so cheap right now across the board on all chains. That's why it's so cheap. But as soon as a bit of volume picks up and there's more action, you will see that the gas fees on AVAX, keep an eye on it. The fees on AVAX will increase dramatically. I've experienced this myself. If you don't believe me, when a little bit of hype comes back around, try to buy an AVAX token and try to stake some of those tokens, swap around, use Trader Joe, and you will see what I mean. There's a lot of information out there to back what I'm saying. You can look it up yourself. And other than that, that's about it. So far, PulseChain is faring up quite well against Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Avalanche. And like I mentioned, this is the third installment. For the next video, we're going to talk about Phantom. We're going to compare Phantom to PulseChain, and that is going to be an interesting one. So thank you guys for watching this long into the video, and I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.